Hey, what is happening, Cowboys Nation? And welcome to week 2, or shall we call it the aftermath of the glory that was Sunday Night Football. I mean, I don't know if we've ever started out a season like this, except for I did hear the last time we won the Super Bowl. We beat the Giants 35-0.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I actually saw a tweet. I'm blanking on who tweeted it out, but it was basically the last 4 times the Cowboys had a shutout in the opening week, and it was in 77 won the Super Bowl, 78 we didn't win the Super Bowl, 95 we won the Super Bowl, and now 2023 win the Super Bowl. Let's see. Right. Let's see what happens. So 2 of the 3 times we've done it, won the Super Bowl. I know some people will love that kind of stats and finding those kind of patterns in the past and the present. But so if you like that stuff, there you go. Hey, it could come true again this year.
It could. I'm going to play the numbers this year.
There you go.
I'm here for it. So where do we even start? I mean,
we're like, let's just try to pick up the pieces that are the Giants right now. They were shattered into millions of pieces. Like someone raised the question to me, and I'll raise it to you because I really didn't know, because I've tried to think about it. They asked, was that the most dominant defensive performance you've ever seen in a game? And it's hard because, obviously back in the day, there could have been really good defensive performances that I don't even know about. I haven't watched every game to ever be played ever. But in my lifetime, I'm trying to think back to when we were that dominant on defense. And it's really hard to pinpoint a game where it was that. I mean, last year you had the 40-3 game versus Minnesota, but I still don't think the defense was as dominant that game.
Yeah, we saw glimmers of what was to be. And that, I have to say, that game is what really got me on to. I mean, I saw what our defense had been doing previous and building up to it. That's what we kind of saw, the real potential of what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. But I can honestly say, and you know what, the only people that could say a disclaimer about is because of the weather. But let's keep in mind both teams played in the exact same weather.
Yeah.
But to have every single facet of the team score, you had takeaways, you had forced fumbles, not just fumbles, forced fumbles.
A lot of
you
them,
had pick six, blocked field goals. I lost count of the sacks at one point in time. I was just like, I don't even know how many we have going right now.
And it's weird because I think we should have had more than they actually credited with us. I think we got credited with 7. Interesting, like, I don't know. I got to figure this out, and I'm going to try to figure this out. There was one point in the first drive, in the first quarter, the Giants were moving the ball well. They had the false start and then the bad snap, and Daniel Jones goes back there. Now, he goes back there and falls on the ball, and Micah Parsons touches him. They didn't credit it as a sack because I'm thinking maybe he was outside of the tackle box, right? Like it's more than 10 yards deep. Maybe that's what it was. That's not a sack. But they didn't credit him with the tackle for loss either. So what does that count as? Because that's something I got to go back. And if you are listening to this and you're in the comments and please let us know. I don't know what that counts as because they didn't count it as a sack and they didn't count it as a tackle for loss. So I'm lost on that one.
I don't know, but I question a lot of their metrics that they use.
That's fair. That is fair.
It changes.
But
a
yeah,
lot.
It was difficult with the sacks. They were just everywhere. I mean, the players were trying to count them. They were. If you saw the sounds of the sideline, they were asking, "What's the record for the sacks?"
Right.
And it was really.
Yeah, we have a little bite with that. Here we go.
Sure. Oh, Diggy's always going to have his second sack of the night. Pressure coming. Oh, look out, young man.
Hey, you get a sack. Look up under your chair. Get a sack. Now, for those of you in the audience today, if you look under your seat, you'll find a sack. A sack.
He's giving out sacks.
You gotta love that, though. Who knew? I mean, I knew Osa had a good personality, and on top of it, this win and that dominance and what it's done for this team. I mean, we saw confidence going in there for them, but holy cow, to have that go on, for them to have that experience during this game in one that, you had the factor of the weather and what was that going to do.
Yeah.
And to come out of it like that, it's a great way to start this season.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. And it's like you said, that you saw a little bit of the confidence beforehand. And it just exploded and grew as the game went on. And Micah Parsons said it after the game. He said it. He did he did kind of a live stream on Twitch where he talked about the game and everything like that. And he was just like, guys, we tried to tell you about this defense. And you saw flashes of it the last few years where you're like, man, this defense is really getting up there. And they might have, I don't even know if they've reached their potential, but they're on that trajectory of just an outstanding, amazing defense and the best defense in the league, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. After seeing this full weekend of games.
They're so fast.
Right. I mean, they are absolutely the fastest defense that I saw play this weekend. The Niners were strong, but they were playing a Steelers team that
doesn't have a quarterback.
That was a bad Steelers team. That was some bad offensive calling. I'm not sure how Mike Canada is still the offensive coordinator there, and I'm not sure if he will be much longer. But we can touch. We're not going to focus on the Eagles, but we can touch on that game. And I've been saying it for a while that having 7 starters leave that team and both coordinators, that wasn't the same team that we saw last year.
No,
and it wasn't the same Jalen Hurts to me that we saw last year.
And it's week 1. It's hard to judge. I always try to stop myself from completely judging teams in the first 4 games. The first quarter of the season, I really try, because a lot changes after the first quarter. But you saw that impacted of those 7 starters being gone. Their defense, this is what their defense is about, that defensive line and that pass rush. And they did not really have a great pass rush this weekend. So you've got to watch that. I mean, they had Jalen Carter, who got pressure from the middle, but outside they weren't getting a lot of sacks. I mean, I think they didn't even get a sack until the fourth quarter. And so that's what they're about, is getting sacks and then opportunities, getting turnovers. If they don't get the sack and they don't get a turnover, a pick, they give up a lot of yards. And that's the issue with that defense. So I think they have potential to be a really good defense. I do. But they're not in the same category as this Cowboys defense. They really aren't.
No. And
the only 2 teams that sorry for cutting you off. The only 2 teams that I think that are in the category that can be like us are the 49ers, which you mentioned, and the Jets.
Yeah.
The Jets have a really good defense. So, and we'll get into that more.
They do. Yeah, we'll get into that more because life has changed in New York. And I will just say that it was a very bad weekend for New York football teams.
Yeah.
Or week 1, as we'll put it. So let's talk about the offensive side of the ball, because I've heard a lot of different back and forth about it. I kind of had some of this feeling. It wasn't a huge dominant presence by the offense in a few different ways. We can say some of the weather had something to do with it. But I think they played a smart game as far as for playing in that weather. Yeah. I know a lot of people are like, oh, they were mediocre. They were mediocre. I think that they played the game that they needed to for us to win this game. I mean, mind you, they still put up part of those 40 burgers that we had up there. But I also think that we didn't show our hand more than we needed to.
Well, they really didn't. I mean, before you could blink, the Cowboys were up 16-0. The Dallas Cowboys had 1 offensive possession, and they kicked a field goal. Yes, they need to finish that. They They need to finish more drives. They had one possession to kick the field goal. They marched down the field and kicked the field goal, and it was 16-0 by the time they got the ball back. So, like, they really didn't need to put the pedal to the metal offensively. I think that Mike McCarthy, as a play caller and a head coach, kind of noticed that and said, "Hey, we've got this. We're going to play it more conservatively." And look, it was a wet and rainy day. You're not going to be able to throw the football and go downfield like that as much as you would normally like to, and so they were more conservative, I think, with their play calling and what they were trying to do. And look at you. I don't want to say excuses. People always say we always make excuses for Dak, and I get that, but a lot of the stuff he gets blamed for really isn't his fault. And that's why I think Cowboys are so defensive and make excuses, because he gets blamed for that stuff simply for being the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. But if you look at it, and the weather was affecting a lot of his throws. The ball slipped out of his hand on multiple pass attempts. And on the first drive, I just said we didn't finish and we kicked a field goal. Well, one of the reasons, because on third down, there was pressure coming to the side, and Dak tried to rush the throw. He had Jake Ferguson open going into the end zone, and the ball slipped out of his hand as he goes. Now, it looked like they were saying, "Oh, it might be a fumble." It wasn't a fumble. He wasn't even hit. The ball out of his hand. That's weather. That happens, and you got to play through it. It's not an excuse. You have to play through that, and you have to make that throw. But yes, the weather did play an unfortunate impact in this game for both teams. I'm not going to I'm not going to say a lot of these turnovers probably were because of the rain and where you're hitting these players, and the ball's comes out easier. It just does. When the ball's wet, your hands are wet, your arms are wet, the ball's going to slide out easier. It's just a fact of life.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the funnest, is that a word? The most fun things that I absolutely saw. Funnest is not a word.
Yes, I like that word. Let's make it.
Yeah, exactly. We're coining that word, funnest. See what happens when I've been on vacation for a while. But so we didn't just see a jumbo package. We saw a super-sized jumbo package in the red zone on the goal line. Holy cow. I don't know of a team in the league that would not be worried to have seen that massive wall of men go and push to get that right there. I mean,
yeah.
I first I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, there's too many here. Wait, And
Tyron was on the right side, and it was just it looked great. It ran great, and I love it when they do that. I love when they add those jumbo packages in, and they do it really well. They're one of the best teams in the league at running those jumbo packages, and so it was great. I think it only has the potential to get even better, because Tyler Smith, who we know is the starting left guard, one of the best run blockers on this team, wasn't in, and there were some times where Chuma was pulling and he wasn't really getting. I tweeted about that this morning. He really wasn't getting there where he needed to be, and that's something Tyler Smith can do and do very well. So in my opinion, it's only going to get better.
But I do have to give out major star up for Chuma and his performance, because so many of us were doubting. Last week with Brian Broaddus, we all felt that it should be Bass.
Yeah.
And, they knew something, and good for them, because it wasn't a huge factor.
Yeah. And they said, hey, look, we feel he's a better guard than he is a tackle. And so we like him here, and we're going to play him at guard. And they did. And, he didn't disappoint. And he played very well. He played much higher than expectations. And yes, the Cowboys did help out with their quick passing game. Dak got the ball out quicker than any other quarterback this week. He was the fastest time to throw.
2.2 was
it? It was smoking fast. Yeah. He was getting it out quick. So that helps the offensive line. But he didn't, when Dak didn't get it out right away and he had to block, he made his blocks and he blocked well. I just think, obviously, Tyler's a better guard. And once Tyler gets in, and a lot of people mention the run game didn't get as going as we thought it would, or I think that improves with Tyler Smith back in the lineup.
Right. And would you say that was 2016 Tyron Smith we saw playing?
Absolutely. I tweeted that. I said, look,
Yeah.
Tyron looked like it was 2016. Like
Right.
he moved. Not only did he block well, not only because we saw him in camp, we saw him struggling against Micah Parsons, and it might just be, hey, that's Micah
It's
Parsons.
Micah Parsons. Come on, yeah.
That might have just been it. But we saw him where he got one, like Parsons just grabbed him with one hand and threw him. We saw that, and you're like, whoa, that's never happened to Tyron Smith before. Like, what is he on the last leg? But he played amazing. And not only did he play amazing, he played amazing run blocking, he was pulling, and he looked like he was active and spry again. And he was getting out there. And like I said, they were pulling these guards and they were pulling Tyron. Tyron was leading the way and he was getting out there and it looked beautiful. Here's an interesting thing I saw from John Owning. He tweeted it out that last year, Thibodeau didn't have a single game without a pressure. Not one single game without a pressure. He had, I think, 10 pressures against us last year in one game. 0 sacks, 0 hits, 0 hurries, 0 pressures. Nothing. He got blanked just like the Giants offense.
Yeah. Big donuts everywhere.
We was throwing them donuts everywhere. Yeah.
Right. So Tony Pollard performed exactly as the Cowboys wanted, expected, and paid him to do.
Absolutely. He played beautifully.
Right.
He hit the holes they needed to hit. He was explosive. Sometimes where you're thinking like, oh, you're not going to he can't get through there. Boom, he squirts out. He gets through there. Right. I really like to see him with Tyler Smith back in the full healthy line. The Giants are people are really dogging on the Giants right now, and I get it because 40-0, that's bad. But remember, this is a team that went to the playoffs last year and won a game in the playoffs. They won a playoff game.
And actually improved in their personnel.
This is a team that people thought improved in their personnel. This is a team that had a really good defense last year and has a really good looks on paper to be a really good defense again this year. Like, this isn't just, they have one of the best defensive lines in football. This wasn't a pushover team. Right. It looked like it. But they're not a pushover team, and they have high expectations. Giants fans and media were chirping all week long because they thought they had closed the gap enough to beat us.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I almost feel sorry for, I'm not sure who they play this week, but
Arizona.
Oh.
They should be able to beat Arizona.
Birds.
They really poor little birds.
Yeah.
But like that defensive line is good.
Really good. Absolutely. So, I had them marked as one of the best defensive lines that we were going to meet on this schedule this year.
Absolutely. So Tony Pollard, the way he looked, really more than earned this starting role, finally getting the RB1 job that he deserved. Super proud of him. But can we talk a little bit about my guy, Rico Dowdle?
Let's do it.
Because Rico Dowdle looked electric. He was hitting those holes too, making really good runs, and I love him as a backup running back. I really do. What are your thoughts on him?
No, absolutely. I think that they've found the perfect combination of that 1-2, the finesse that Tony has and the power that Rico brings in there. Not that Tony doesn't have power also, but I see Rico as that big power. He can take on a lot of the Zeke role. And just like we talked about with Brian Broaddus last week, that Rico probably can handle a lot of that pass pro that Zeke was handling. And we saw some of that in this game.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect punch. Yeah. Our small RB, he wasn't a whole lot of factor. And I think we're going to find ways that he is going to be, but I don't believe that was the game for him totally in it. Really, even to the point when we gave Turpin a handoff and he ran it in, instead of
that's a question. If they're going to be getting Turpin involved like that, then it's going to take away some of our packages that we thought would be going to Deuce Vaughn. It's okay. When Deuce got in there, if you look at the numbers, they weren't great, and he really didn't have a great performance in the small amount that he got. But you got to also take that into context. He got in the game really late, and the only starting, Tyler Smith and Zach Martin weren't in the game anymore when he got in.
Right.
So they had been checked out. So he wasn't going with the full set of offensive linemen. So the blocking wasn't as crisp, wasn't as clean. So take it with a grain of salt. Don't judge Deuce Vaughn on that, because it really wasn't the real line out there blocking for him. But I hope that they get some packages for him because, like I said, we think he's electric. But Turpin, absolutely. I love the packages for him. Great game. I was actually surprised he took some more punishment. He took the punishment better than I thought he would. He had that one play in the first quarter where he didn't quite get it, but he took the big hit, bounced right back up. And then the touchdown he ran through contact. Like he wasn't just hey, I'm untouched into the end zone. He actually ran through that contact. So credit to Turpin. A lot of people don't think he's big enough for this league, but he's showing, hey, I can do it. And I can do it. And he said, look, I have to make these coaches know that, like, hey, you have to give me some offensive plays. Like, you cannot not give me offensive plays. So, hey, that he's showing up, scored his first touchdown. Hats off to him. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And Gallup kind of seemed like a ghost. He had the one catch that was beautiful, but out of bounds. Otherwise, I mean, we didn't see a whole lot out of him.
I think he had one catch other than that.
Right.
The rainy games like that aren't really his games, unfortunately. We didn't do a lot in the passing game because, like we said before, we really didn't need to. And we didn't attack their secondary. And that's kind of what his game is attacking. And so, I think we need hopefully indoors at home next week is going to be a better showing for him, and it'll be more of his environment, because I don't really think the wet, cold games where you can't really get a good rip on the ball and throw it downfield, that's where he's not going to be at his best, in my opinion.
Right. CD
looks great.
Yeah, I was like,
Dak missed him in the end zone. He should have had a touchdown.
Yeah.
Going back and looking at that, it looked like from the view of the just the TV view, it looked like Dak just overthrew it a little bit. But when I went back and watched the all 22. It looks like there was miscommunication because the angle the TV had it at looked like the ball just went over his hands. But if you look at it from a different angle, it's over to the side, and I think Dak thought he was going out and he cut a little bit in. So Dak threw it a little bit higher and harder to the back, and Lamb went in, turned the other way. And I think there was a little bit miscommunication. So I'm not going to say it's not a bad throw because it didn't get there. It was a miscommunication, but I don't think it was just like he just missed him. I think there was a miscommunication there.
Right. Brandon Cooks showed exactly what defensive coordinators are going to have to start planning for in the future. That, okay, if you're going to double team CD, what are you going to be doing with Cooks over there? So,
yeah. And Cooks is really good. He's got that speed. We know he's got that speed, and he can find those zones, and he's not scared to go over the middle, as we saw. He took that big hit.
He caught that knowing that was coming in and going to just annihilate him. And like a pro, he went up, grabbed it, and
absolutely. So that was great to see. Gives Dak confidence to make that throw, because we know when Dak trusts you, Dak's going to fire it in there. And just building that trust with him, we're going to continue to see that. And I think not to the degree of Gallup, but he's kind of the same. Like indoors, I think we're really going at home games. I think we're really going to see his speed and the way he runs routes really come up to and break out in the coming games. I really think so, as he gets more comfortable with this offense and more comfortable with Dak.
Right. So let's talk about our tight ends, because there's stuff I loved, and I'm gonna give them some benefit of the doubt with the weather and their hands.
Yeah,
we saw some really great blocking, and I saw a fantastic one from Ferg. And I believe it wasn't on the Turpin run, but they were in red zone. And some good blocking out of them.
There was some fantastic blocking on Tony Pollard's 25-yard run. We were in 13 personnel. If you don't know what 13 personnel is, that is 3 tight ends and 1 running back. So we had Schumacher, or is it Schumacher or Shoemaker? I mean Shoemaker. Sorry, I'm really bad with names. If you've followed us in the past, I apologize. I'm bad with names. But Shoemaker, Ferguson, and Hendershot all in the game. And Schoonmaker and Hendershot were on the right-hand side. Ferg came in motion and came up in front of Pollard, and they just cleared them out, and Pollard ran free, untouched, and it was just beautiful blocking. So the tight ends really shined and excelled in blocking, which I was told all offseason that's why we drafted a tight end, because the other two couldn't block. Well, they looked pretty damn good blocking. And so the receiving was a little bit of concern. There was multiple drops by both tight ends. One for a sure touchdown by Hendershot. Ferg, I'm not really that worried about. In the beginning of the game, he made 2 really tough catches, but as the rain started to come and pour more, that's when he started to drop the ball. And I'm thinking that his are mainly because of the rain, so I'm not super worried about it at the moment. However, Hendershot had issues with drops last year.
Right.
And it looks like he's having some more issues. Hopefully he's got the talent. You just got to pull in the ball. So hopefully he can start catching this ball more, or he's not going to be on the field that much longer. Because hey, you got to catch the ball, so Ferg, not so worried about unless it becomes a recurring problem and it's not raining. Hendershot, that's something to keep your eye on. And you guys know I'm a huge Hendershot fan, so that hurts me to say, but that's something he's got to keep his eye on.
Right. So let's swing over to the defensive side of the ball.
Is there a bad thing to say about the defensive performance?
No.
Negative? Anything?
No, not one single thing. Nothing.
It was amazing.
The energy, the power, the strength. Dan Quinn and his
backwards hat, Dan Quinn.
Right. And the schemes that he had out there. I mean, LVE out there on the edge to throw them off. The way Micah was able to get through and double teamed and still being able to make moves and get in there, and poor Danny Dimes.
And this is the best thing. This is what now hopefully this continues, because it didn't happen as much last year. But with Micah getting so much attention, other people got to step up. And we saw it. We saw it on Sunday night. We saw Osa Odigizua stepping up. We saw Dorrance Armstrong stepping up. We saw Golston stepping up.
That was probably one of Golston's best games ever.
I think it was. I was questioning his roster spot going into the game. So these guys stepped up and it was just great. So the defensive line played amazing. The linebackers, the safeties. Let's talk about Bell.
Right.
Let's talk about Bell, because he's taken over that role that they had kind of carved out for Overshone. And he was so lightning fast coming downhill that and I saw a tweet, and I think it was our friend Nick Herrera who said it, that hey, Bell is kind of what we hoped, or a lot of people hoped Jabril Cox was. And it's funny because he's wearing 14. He's wearing Cox's old number now.
Yeah.
So at
that
first,
threw me off for a little bit.
When he first made that tackle for loss, I was like, on Daniel Jones, was like, holy, I thought we cut Cox, but I was like, oh yeah, that's Bell. So it kind of threw me off for a second. But he looks explosive. He looks quick. Him, Wanye Thomas looked amazing.
Out of his mind, amazing.
Amazing. Not only on special teams, but he was making plays on defense. It was just a fantastic performance by the defense. Like I said earlier in the show, I don't know if I've ever seen a more dominant performance in my lifetime. I really don't.
Right.
That was bad. They were just hitting them hard all night long.
Fowler showed
Fowler
up.
played
I mean,
great.
Diggs.
Brian Broaddus said it last week on the show, like, hey,
right.
Diggs needs to hit more. We need to see them make those hits.
And
Diggs must have watched the show.
I was gonna say he might have heard me say that he was the player that I needed to bounce back, and I didn't expect him to be, 2 years ago, Diggs, but that man showed it. And you know what? We have a little video about it.
Down, pumps and throws it out to Hodgins, and he catches it at the 40. And then Diggs forces the ball out for a fumble.
The boy got them! Oh, the boy got the hunt! We're scary out there, I'm telling you. Crazy. Oh my God. Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, the best duo in the league.
Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. Best duo.
Non-negotiable.
My favorite part of that clip is definitely Gilmore's reaction when he stopped and looked at him and he was like, oh my God. Like he's in my mind, what I thought about when he said it, I was like, oh my God, like what did I just sign up for? Like this defense, this team, you know, like that's kind of like what I got from his reaction. It was even he's surprised.
That aggression that we saw with not only was Diggs tackling, but that arm going in and batting that ball down. I don't know if this is something to do with Dan Quinn and the defense, or if this is Gilly and his mentoring with it all. It could be a combination of everything. Yeah. But I saw that aggression with so many different players, and it wasn't just tackle them. It was jar that ball loose at all costs.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that's a big thing from Al Harris, the secondary coach. And so, you know, credit to them, credit to the players, credit to the coaches. They're obviously teaching the right techniques and the right things. And it just all came together so perfectly on Sunday night. It was great. And we could honestly go on and on about this game. We could make an entire show about just praising this game. But like McCarthy said, we're on to week 2. We're on to the Jets, right?
We are. And their world. Oh, hold on. Ty's got a question for us.
I thought Mozzie played well. I thought it was the best I've ever seen Mozzie. Obviously, like, he didn't play as much, but I thought he played very well. And I like how well Jonathan Hankins played amazing in front of him.
Yeah.
And so I like that because it allows him to kind of grow internally and grow as this season goes on. We're not putting that pressure on him to perform right away because he does still need to learn. He does still need to grow. So I like it. But he did play well in the snaps that he got. He ragdolled another human being in the game. I wish we had a clip of that. And, you know, like, so I was happy with his performance and the snaps that he got.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we talked about it last week with Brian that it's good that he's got that rotation in there. We knew with Hankins coming back that this wasn't going to be his position, that he was starting, but it's giving them an opportunity that he's getting trained. I mean, there's hardly ever a nose or a one tech or anything like that comes in their rookie year, starts and plays. We all know it takes a year or two to develop them.
Especially for a one tech, absolutely.
Right.
But look at this. I also think, look at this speaks to the talent level on this team, that your first and second round picks aren't starting on this team. They're rotational guys, you know, so I mean, it just speaks to the talent of this team and the quality of players that we have. And I've heard of a lot of people saying this is the most talented team they've ever had in their lifetime. And I think, hey, you can make arguments about where this team stacks up against the 92 Cowboys, which I think, in my opinion, is the greatest Cowboys team of all time. So I think that you definitely could stack them up and see where they stack up against that team.
Right. So our house next Sunday, the Jets, their dynamic has changed a slight little bit.
What was the big storyline coming into week 2 when the schedule got released, even when the season started? What's the big storyline for week 2 in our home opener?
That Aaron Rodgers was going to be in
Aaron
AT&T
Rodgers.
again, and would we finally beat him?
And Aaron Rodgers owns AT&T Stadium. Sadly, I'm not mocking or anything like that. I feel terrible.
Yeah.
That Aaron Rodgers sadly ruptured his Achilles on Monday Night Football, and his season is over. I wish him the best and most speedy recovery. I'm actually very, very upset because I have a good friend who's a Packers fan. We've been talking all off season, and he'd been telling me like, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is going to destroy you guys. He always destroys you guys, and he always beats you guys in AT&T." And I was looking forward to it because I just told him last week. I said, "Look, this is the year where we get the Aaron Rodgers monkey off of our back."
Right.
This is the year. We got last year in the playoffs, we got the Tom Brady monkey off of our back. This year we get the Aaron Rodgers and AT&T Stadium monkey off our back. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen now. So I wanted this. I wanted to play Aaron Rodgers. Unfortunately, the game of football happens. Injuries happen. I wish him the best and most speedy recovery, and I hope he can continue his career next year.
Absolutely, yeah. You never want to see a player go down like that. And I have to say that was the most telling video that I've ever seen of an Achilles go.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, So yeah, no, but I absolutely wanted to face them, wanted the revenge. I have been there at AT&T. I was there in 2017 when we marched it down the field. My girlfriend was with me. She's like, "We're going to win this game." And I was like, "We just left a minute 37 on the clock for Aaron Rodgers." There's nothing sure about anything. And sure enough, hurry up offense, straight down there, beat us. So yeah, no, I really hope that Aaron's okay. The big debate now is is he done? Is he finished? Is his career over at 40 years old? I've seen the numbers with the money that he's collecting this year. He had $75 million guaranteed in that contract for 75 seconds of play. And I think he was collecting another 41 million from Green Bay. He could easily have walked away before, but that rehab and the way, I mean, they said it's a total tear.
It's difficult. It's probably one of the most, if not the most difficult sports injury to come back from. It really is. It's a difficult one. It's what the ACL used to be back in the day before they had all these advanced surgeries. They don't have those for the Achilles yet. They have better surgeries than they used to, but it's still a very difficult injury to come back from. And you could see how it has affected. I put up the numbers that Ty shared. The line went from 3.5 Cowboys to now 8.5. Right. And so that is the Aaron Rodgers effect and no longer being there. And Zach Wilson is now the quarterback. They said he will be the quarterback going forward, even though they are looking for other veteran quarterbacks. I don't think they're bringing in a veteran quarterback for week 2. It's already a short week.
I don't see them being able to come in and start or be a factor in any way,
especially against this
Sunday.
Defense. They're not going to risk that. So what they're going to do is they are going to rely on their defense, which we've already talked about as one of the best, and their running game, which is really good, even though they don't have an offensive line like Breece Hall.
That he is explosive. We saw it last year before he got injured. The amount of talent that kid has, and and then to have Dalvin Cook be the second punch in it, that is a strong running game. I believe it has taken a lot of the throw game with Garrett Wilson and Lazard out of it in that factor. They may be relying on the tight end Conklin more, that short pass, because that's going to be probably one of the only ways Zach Wilson can compete against our defense, is getting that ball out quick and short passes in that way.
Yeah. And that's what they're going to rely on, because not only do they have Zach Wilson as a quarterback, who we all know is not the best quarterback in the league. He struggled.
Right.
That's why they went out and traded a first-round pick for. Well, now it's going to be a second-round pick
After,
for Aaron
after
Rodgers.
using a first-round pick on him.
So that's the reason they're going to rely on that. But it's also not just Zach Wilson. It's that offensive line is not a good pass blocking offensive line. We saw that. They were constant pressure on Rodgers when he was in, constant pressure on Wilson when he's in. And look, the Bills got a good defense, but they don't have the defensive line and the pass rushers that we have. And we're deep with our pass rushers so they can stay fresh. What do you think about the matchup? Is that the biggest mismatch in this game, is our defensive line versus their offensive line?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I would have kind of if Aaron Rodgers had been in the game, I would have maybe have led to our corners in the secondary against this receiving crew would have been a heavily one, but absolutely now that's going to be the biggest factor of this game is I don't see anybody on that line that is maybe Tomlinson might. I don't see it. They don't have the depth really.
Not at all. They don't.
No, they don't.
You have that, and then here's the thing: even though with that line, they looked okay in run blocking, and they ran the ball well, and we talked about Breece Hall and how explosive he is. Are you worried about that aspect? Because last year our run defense wasn't the best. It was okay. It wasn't as bad as everybody made it out to be, but it was okay. This year, last game, we still gave up 108 yards. Yes, some of that was Daniel Jones. But Saquon Barkley, when they did run the ball, ran it fairly well. 4.3 yards a rush. That first drive, both him and Jones were running all over us.
Mm-hmm.
So the majority of the yards really came for that first drive. But it looks more short up at the end of the game, but that was because they had to pass a lot. So are you worried about that aspect of how much the Jets are going to have to rely? They're going to try to rely on the run, and how good they are at running the ball.
Oh, absolutely. And one thing that we can absolutely agree on is that running quarterbacks might possibly still be our kryptonite. It is a problem for us. And we saw Daniel Jones take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. I don't think Garrett Wilson has that kind of ability. He'll be running scared.
Zach.
But yeah, exactly.
Not Garrett.
Or no, yeah, I'm sorry, Zach Wilson. No, not Garrett. No, Garrett Wilson can run. We know
Garrett Wilson can run. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I do have that. I do have some of that concern. That's where I'm going to need LVE and the whole safety linebacker crew come in, Deron Bland come in and really back up on that. So
yeah, you're gonna have to have that. It's gonna be a test, and we're gonna see really where hopefully we're gonna see where our run defense is at. But it's also going to be on the offense, because the reason I say that is score those points against that defense. You're not going to get them out of it. Make Wilson beat us. Make Zach Wilson have to throw to beat us. If you do that, you're going to win the game.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because that's going to lead to picks, in my opinion. So I think that's the strategy right there, to try to force them out of that run game, because that's really their strength on offense, is that running game. Because as good as Garrett Wilson is, he can't throw himself the passes, even though he can tip a pass to himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was amazing. But he's not going to be able to throw the ball to himself. And I think that's where we're going to have to set it apart. So
right. Because, you got Lazard on the other side, and it's Gibson and Cobb are the other two.
Garrett Wilson scares me, but that's probably about the only. Garrett Wilson and Ben Hall are really the only people on that offense that scare me. Yeah. Dalvin Cook, not so much anymore.
Right. Zach Wilson's decision making is a bonus for us, because I think he makes some really super poor decisions. And I think that's where Gilly and Diggs and Curse and that whole crew is going to be able to capitalize on, and the defensive line too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think Micah's going hunting this week, and I think he's gonna bag himself a couple quick QB sacks. So
right.
I'm excited about that. Let's switch to the other side of the ball, because that's the strength of this New York Jets team, this defense. They should have been blown out of that game. Now, granted, I will say granted, Josh Allen made some absolutely horrendous decisions that led to easy interceptions for the Jets last week that I hope Dak would never make. They were some really bad decisions. And so that helps them. But this defense for the Jets is their strength and what got them winning games last year and what got them to win that game on Monday Night Football. What is the matchup between our offense and their defense that you're most looking forward to?
I think it's got to be Sauce with CD. And Sauce did not have a very great game yesterday. And I know Stephon Diggs is probably probably is a better route runner than CD is, but not so much that we're going to see that big of a difference.
Yeah, CD's no slouch. Yeah.
Right. So that's probably one of my biggest ones. I'm interested to see. Oh gosh. Let me ask you this. Was Jordan Whitehead, was that just the game of his life? Or did we see somebody come into their own, or was it opportunistic?
I think it was a little bit of game of his life and opportunistic of some really bad decision making. That first interception wasn't even close to the wide receiver. Like I don't know what was going on that one. And so credit to him. I don't want to just credit his game at all. He played amazing. I don't think he's as good as that game suggests he is. And I think that he's also playing against, guys like Gabriel, or what is Gabe, I can't think of his last. Anyways, like it's not guys like Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks, that's not they have Stephon Diggs over there, and then probably their next best is the rookie tight end Kincaid. Like they don't have these guys that are amazing receivers over there. So he's kind of playing against inferior competition.
I think it was one of them with Gabe Davis.
Gabe Davis, there you go. I couldn't think of his last name.
Yeah.
Yes, Gabe Davis. Yeah. So Sauce is guarding the star and Diggs, and Diggs is taking it to him. But he's playing some guy that's not really the best in Gabe Davis. Now Gabe Davis can have a couple good games, yes, but he's not going to be like a guy like Brandon Cooks.
Right.
So I think there's a big drop off between going from Brandon Cooks to a Gabe Davis. So that's a matchup. Here's my matchup. Mendoza says it. Quinnen Williams versus our interior. I don't think he's going to try to match up with Zach Martin that much. I think he is going to zero in on Tyler Biotish, and we'll have to see with Tyler Smith or Chuma. That's going to be big, because if it's Chuma, a little bit more worried. If it's Tyler Smith, I'm a little bit more confident. Now, I'm not saying Tyler Smith can equal out Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams is one of the best defensive linemen in the league. But I am a little bit worried about Tyler Biotish, just because we saw him against Dexter Lawrence last week, and that's probably the one matchup that really wasn't the best. Is Biotish can struggle with some power rushes at times, and Quinnen Williams can do that to you with speed and power. So that's really where I'm interested. How does our interior, especially the left and Tyler Biotish at center, hold up against Quinnen Williams? Because if they can't, and Dak's getting constant pressure, and we're not able to run up the middle, it could be a long day for our offense.
Right. And I do believe it's going to be another day of a lot of quick releases, and that we are going to need Ferg and Hendy to have their best hands available to them, because I think that's going to be a lot of tight end passes in that. We could see a lot of passes to Pollard, and using Turpin in that facet again too.
this is going to be another one right here. Quincy Williams balled out for them. Quincy Williams, if you don't know, is the older brother of Quinnen Williams. So he had a really good game, and he guarded the tight ends a lot. So that's, like you said, that's going to be an interesting matchup as well with Ferg and them and him guarding him. Is he going to have another game where he's balling out like that, or are Ferguson and Hendershot going to be able to get away and get open? And what's that matchup? I think that's going to be a fantastic matchup as well. So, you know, it's going to be tough sledding. Do not expect another 40-0 trouncing, in my opinion. This New York Jets defense is legit, and they can get after the quarterback and they can create turnovers, and that's how they win games. That is really how they win games. Yes, it became an easier matchup without Aaron Rodgers. Absolutely. But do not take this defense for granted because they're great. And I want to ask you this because I mentioned this in the group chat we have. Robert Saleh, their head coach, came out and said that I don't know why people are writing our obituaries. He's saying, I don't know why people are writing us off. We still have a team. And they just beat the Bills. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm super worried that this team is going to come out motivated as all get up to try to prove that it's not just a team it's not just Aaron Rodgers, and now that Aaron Rodgers is gone, they're nothing. I'm nervous about that because we've seen that before when a big major transition or major event happens with a team and everybody's like, oh, that team's done. They come out the next game, they play really well.
Game 2, us Bengals last year.
Exactly. And they come out, play really well, and then they win, and everybody's like, oh, maybe not. And then they might fade off a little bit after that. That's what worries me. What are your thoughts about their attitude and how they can come out with their motivation?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you that we need to, and like Mike McCarthy said, this last Sunday is gone. It's over. It's look forward. Mm-hmm. They can keep that energy, but they don't need to be complacent whatsoever because this team has something to prove. And I think that they're going to try and do their best, knowing that it is Zach Wilson at quarterback and that they're going to have to do whatever they can to compensate for him.
This might be the best analogy I've ever seen in my life. Dak doesn't need to cook a banquet.
Right.
Nuggets and fries are fine since Zach Wilson can't make pizza rolls.
We love you, LP.
LP, thank you for that comment. That can't make pizza rolls.
That's.
What about bagel bites, LP? Can we get some bagel bites? That's good. But no, I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm just hopefully the Cowboys stay focused. I don't want a good friend of ours, Reed, has talked about this, about, you know, Cowboys don't have the best history of having really great games and then coming out after it and having a good game. So hopefully we can stay focused and we can stay focused on this and come out on Sunday and play another great game of football. So let's get our final. No, let's not do final scores yet. Let's do your player, offensive player and defensive player of the game coming up for the Jets game on Sunday. So who is your defensive player of the game?
I'm going to go with Tank.
Ooh, that's a good
because
one.
I think they are going to be hyper-focused on Micah. And that matchup over there on that side, I really like Tank in that position.
I do. I like the matchup of Tank versus Becton. Mekhi Becton.
Yes,
I absolutely.
That is a name.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like that matchup a lot. I'm going to go big number 95, Jonathan Hankins, because I think we need him to step up, and I think we need that run game to be stuffed, because that's their weapon. That is their weapon. That is their offensive weapon in this game, is that run game, and that's their only. I mean, Garrett Wilson's out there, but he's too dependent on the quarterback. He can't do anything without that quarterback. So their run game, I need Jonathan Hankins making tackles. I need him taking up blocks, eating up blocks, letting LVE, letting Bell, letting Clark. That's another guy who we didn't mention who had another fantastic game as Damone Clark.
Right.
Absolutely fantastic game. He was all over the place. But letting them run free. And when you let them run free, it's going to be good, right? Okay, yeah. I like that. I like that. I like that, LP. But yeah, Hankins is my one. I think that he's going to be key to this game and this defense. What about offense?
So offensively, I think that I'm going to go with CD. And because I think that he's been keyed up, he's been ready. He was ready to go off on this game this last week. And because of the weather, it prevented it. And I have no other reason besides that Sauce Gardner did not have that best game. And that I just have this gut feeling with CD, and CD goes off.
I like it. I like it a lot. Mine is going to be, I'm going to say Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard, really, he was just this close a couple times to breaking more big runs. He had that big 25-yard run, but he was so close a couple other times. I think that, we're going to get our offensive lines gelling more. They're working together more. Hopefully we get Tyler Smith back, especially if we get Tyler Smith back. I don't know if he's going to play, but if we get Tyler Smith back, I think it's going to be some really good holes. And I think that we're gonna kill him with the run game. I really like I love that pick. I love that pick, Mendoza. But Pollard, expect Pollard to have another big game. Yardage wise, I know he had 2 touchdowns last game, but yardage wise, I got him with another touchdown and going over 100 yards this game. So absolutely, nice. Tony Pollard.
Love that.
So we already did defense. We did offense. Give me a bold prediction. On the spot, bold prediction.
I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to keep it in lines with that bold prediction. I think we did on the Cowboys Cave with Kelly K9. And we are going to hold once again to that less than 270 yards with defense holding the offense.
Ooh. I like it.
We're gonna do it.
I like that. That's nice.
Yeah.
We did that with the Giants, right? Yeah. There we go.
So
okay.
I need 2 games in a row to keep my average going.
Okay. I'm gonna say we blocked a kick last week. This week we're gonna block a punt and return it for a touchdown.
I almost said that. I really did.
This week. We're going to block a punt and take it back for a touchdown.
I almost said field goal because we know who their kicker is, right?
Yes, it's Zerline.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. But yeah, we're going to get that.
But then
punt.
I thought, they got some pretty good blockers on that special team unit. So maybe we won't get through there, but who knows?
Yeah. Okay. So before we go, last thing, give me your final score prediction.
Final score prediction is going to be 24-9.
Wow. 24-9. I'm
just saying, and I'm going to say their 9 points is a touchdown, a missed extra point, and a field goal. That's how they're getting the 9.
Zerline missing an extra point.
The odds are.
That makes sense.
It might.
I almost thought you were going to say my score because I have it at 24-10.
Oh, so I kind of got there. But I was it's Zerline, and he really couldn't miss an extra point. We've seen it. We've felt it. we know this is a possibility. So
yeah, the only difference
we're on the
between us is
same wave.
I gave Zerline that extra point. That's our difference right there. But yeah, I got it 24-10. I think the Cowboys are comfortable. I actually got it 24-3 late in the fourth quarter, and they get a garbage time touchdown.
Oh, nice.
Nice. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
I think this defense dominates again. I think they're going to run on us a little bit. They're going to get some runs, but they're not going to be able to finish any drives until the end, obviously, in garbage time. I think that the offense is going to cruise. It's not going to be a dominant offensive performance again. Again, you have that really great defense over there. And I think that our offense is going to be set up with some good field position based on turnovers. So, it's not going to be a flashy game. So I already hear it. I already hear the offense didn't play great again. Look, not many offenses are going to play great against this defense. It's just
every time you hear anytime you hear anybody talking about the top defenses in this league for this year, the Jets is always included in it. So
absolutely,
absolutely, this won't be a game that Dak doesn't have to play the whole fourth quarter, and we are well aware of that.
Oh, that would be sweet though. What if it's
it would be amazing.
What if it's like another 30-something to nothing blowout? Like it would just be like, imagine. I want to check that if the Cowboys have ever had back-to-back shutout games, because that's just a rare thing for any team. I'm actually going to check that. I'll check that out and have an answer back for everybody. Or if anybody else checks it, tweet at me and let me know. You know what? I think we're going to start back would you want to start our game predictions again?
Oh yeah,
let's
absolutely.
Yeah, I'll tweet that out then this week. We'll go ahead and tweet it out. Give us our score predictions. The closest person is going to get a prize from us. And
then we have another way bigger prize.
Yes,
we're going. Let's talk about it. Let's do it.
Let me. Okay, hold on a sec. Let me just. I will tweet out the game prediction scores. All you got to do is reply to it with your score, like it, share it, and then you'll be entered in. And make sure you're following both me and Cam, and that's how you can win.
Subbed to this
and
channel.
Sub to the channel, please. Sub to the channel. Hit that bell, little bell, so you can get some alerts when we go live. Absolutely, or we post a video. But yeah, that's that competition. Cam, I will let you speak on the other competition.
Okay.
Prize.
So this is our brand new YouTube channel, and we do need more followers. So what's a good number you think we should get to? What do we strive for right now?
I think our first strive should be 1,000.
Okay. So we get to 1,000 followers, and we are going to pick one person out of it, random. We'll figure, or we'll randomly take you guys. And the one person we pick is going to get an autographed Michael Gallup jersey. So
absolutely. That's fire right there.
Right.
Absolutely. So make sure you subscribe, share it out, let other people get in the competition, because we got to get to that 1,000. If you want that, we got to get to that 1,000. It's not just hey, you're subscribing. We got 200 subscribers. Got to get to that 1,000. Get us up to 1,000. Share it out so you can be entered into that competition, and you can win a jersey, signed jersey, Michael Gallup.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we got a whole bunch of stuff to give out to people this season. I'm excited about it. Cam's excited about it. We want you to get excited about it. So I mean,
as excited as you were on Sunday night.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Because I don't know about y'all, but I was going crazy. My kids were looking at me like I was insane. I was going wild.
Yeah.
All game long.
So I'm up here in Washington with my family, and they're Seahawk fans. And we had just concluded. And I am yelling within the first minutes of our game, and my dad is over there throwing pillows at me. It's like, you can't be happy. I didn't get a cheer for anything.
Yeah, they had a rough game.
They did. But I was like, at one point in time, I was like, how much adrenaline can one person take because it was just one after the other. So
I had an Eagles fan tell me like, "Oh man, that game was really boring." And I was like, "Not for me. That was fantastic. The entire game was fantastic. I didn't have a boring moment." Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Even if you weren't a fan, the only people that I think absolutely had no fun watching that are Giants fans because it was entertaining. Who doesn't want to see, 5 fumbles? Just, pick six, blocked field goals, all those sacks.
It wasn't even just bad offense. It was just dominant defense. Like I can get like a bad offensive game being boring, but this was dominant defense with big hits, fumbles, interceptions, defense returning touchdowns.
Opportunistic football. They played very opportunistic football. They created situations, and you gotta absolutely love it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So once again, next week we will figure out what day that we're going to be on because I will be back in, but it's also race week in Texas Motor Speedway. And since I actually photograph the races and everything like that, so I'm going to be, but we probably strive for next Tuesday night, possibly on that.
I knew my guy Mendoza would come through.
Good job, Mendoza.
I knew my guy Mendoza would come through.
Well, then you know what? Let's break it.
Let's do it.
We break that. Yeah.
Let's have back-to-back shutouts. Absolutely. Right. That's what? Scrap my punt block. Scrap it. It's over. We are not doing the punt block bold prediction. The bold prediction is now back-to-back shutout victories. There we go.
Nice. There we go. Awesome.
And we're also we're gonna break this one too. We're doing more than 3 in this season. That's this defense, this Doomsday defense. Stop trying to rename it with something fancy. It is the Doomsday defense, y'all. I'm not having.
Yeah, I even got scolded. I got scolded for Doomsday.
Yeah, I'm not having anything else. It is Doomsday defense. Micah Parsons even said it. He said it after the game. Doomsday is back.
Right. Right. Well, like I said, more than likely, we will look, hit that bell so you get notified. Also, make sure you're following us, and we will make sure. But I will probably be shooting for next Tuesday night as the way things are looking right now.
Yep.
And look for our video to hype you up and let you know where it is. And Jets this Sunday.
Victory. Let's have another victory Monday.
That's right. Go Cowboys,
everybody.
Be elite, baby. Every day, every play. Be elite.